Well, there is a competitor brand, but is it any different? Is it better or worse? And how much does it cost? Let's find out. My name is Zoltan, let's build. Alright, so first, what the heck is this exactly? This is the CaDA Kick Sauber F1 car in 1/8 scale. I have a high hope for this because I built the Mercedes AMG 1/8 scale car about 2 years ago, I guess. While that car looked cool, the building experience was far from ideal and the remote control situation was, well, let's just say were questionable. So let's say what they improved in 2 years. And no, this episode is not sponsored by them, I bought this set for myself. The design and the box materials feels premium, they improved a lot in this area. The set number is C64010W and it contains 2,553 pieces. It's over 1,000 more than in the Lego Ferrari set. The price was 190 USD, making it the price per piece ratio around 7 cents, which is really good. On the back of the box we can see some key features, and where's the measurement? Oh, it's up here. The car will be 27.7 inches long and 5.7 inches tall. Much longer than the Red Bull model. Ooh, look at this! It's a cool green and black design and the numbers of the pilots. Look at this. I have this huge one and I have a smaller box. Let's see the bigger one. Those gonna be the parts and the manual, I guess, and I have to show you guys. They have some cool tire designs. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They have printed and wider tire to these cars. Alright, so I have 43 number bags and check this out, there is no sticker in the set. Let's sync it. No sticker in this huge set. And I have this huge manual which will be 353 pages long, and obviously we have some background information about the Kick Sauber team, how they started, the historical timeline, some photos of the cars. Oh, and here's the two pilots, Joe and Bottas. And here is the car and the brick-built version. Oh man, there are tons of details in this car. So, there is no time to waste, I'm gonna start this build right now. And I'm so excited about this. Holy mother of God. This took way longer than I expected. Only 1000 more pieces than in the Ferrari set, but the building time is more than doubled. However, this might be a bit deceptive, due to a couple of factors. Firstly, the packaging situation. I mean, the set only had 4 phases, and the first phase alone contained 9 bags. You can imagine, most of my time was spent just searching for the correct pieces. In this regard, the building experience felt like assembling a used set from bulk elements. Secondly, the build itself. This set suffers from the same issues as the EMG one. The building experience was nothing like a Lego set. And don't get me wrong, this set is perfectly buildable. And there were no issues with the parts quality at all. Every piece was top-notch, exactly the right size and fit. But the process itself was very different from a Lego set. It felt like building a mock. There was no effort to make the build enjoyable. The sole focus was on appearance. To be honest, building this felt more like work than fun. There were so many strange connections, some parts were hard to reach, and the instruction booklet was occasionally confusing. Now, this could be a user error, but I've been building Lego sets weekly since 2019, so I do have some experience. So let's say this was not the most user-friendly set I've ever built. So now, let's talk about the building experience. First, I had to build the differential, which works similarly to the Lego set. Next, the visual elements. Oh boy, these were killing me. They were flapping around everywhere, and it was easy to mix them up. There were 10 just in the rear suspensions. This was super frustrating. Then came the rear shock absorbers, 4 of them in total. I have to admit, this method is better than the Legos, as the car sits much lower, so be prepared. Surprisingly, they also use wheel hubs, which is much more realistic than Lego's approach. The next step was assembling the 1.6-liter V6 engine, which honestly was a bit disappointment. Less detailed than I expected. However, everything surrounding it, the hoses, the MGOH, the motor generator unit heat, was surprisingly detailed. And now, the phase 1 completed. After 3.5 hours, I had the rear suspension and the engine ready. Moving on to the front suspension and the steering mechanism, which was quite similar to the rear, using those same frustrating visual elements and the shock absorbers. Then came the marriage phase, where I could finally test the steering. At this point in the Lego set, I'd typically be wrapping up with the paneling. Well, same here, but it was nowhere near as easy as you'd expect. As I mentioned earlier, there were so many strange connections. The side pods were a nightmare. Everything overlapped, making some parts nearly impossible to reach. And those ball joint elements, oh man, there were so many that I often didn't know which connected where. I even cut my fingers twice because some pieces were so tight. Ugh. And the ultimate nightmare was the front wing. It looks absolutely gorgeous, but achieving that look was a pain in the ass. I had to rebuild this section at least 7 times, and even then, the sides weren't perfectly symmetrical. I had to use a rubber band, which felt so janky in this case, it was completely random and inconsistent. But after 12 long hours, the model was finally complete. But now, let's dive into the details. The car measures over 27.7 inches long, 5.7 inches tall and 10 inches wide, which is in fact true 1:8 scale, if the real car is around 5.6 or 5.7 meters long. So what does this mean? Lego's Ferrari and Red Bull are not truly 1/8 scale. They are more likely 1:9 or even 1:10. Did Lego lie to us? I don't know, but this model is noticeably bigger than those. For the front wings looks fantastic. I hated to building it, but visually it's incredible. However, they used a part that doesn't exist in the Lego world, which explains why it looks so good. It was made specifically for this purpose. The printed elements are top tier, far better than the Legos. Why doesn't Lego print to the edges of their parts? Here the prints covered the entire piece, making it look way more realistic. And of course, no stickers at all. This gives the set much more premium feel. The Sauber and the Kick logos are printed, and since I built Bottas' car, his number 77 is displayed. But if you want to build Joe's car, you can absolutely do that, because the set includes spare parts to swap to number 24. Even the wheel covers are printed, and the tires are fantastic, fully printed slick with printed rims. The rear ones are wider than the front ones, as they should be. This is the way. Moving to the cockpit, two strangely specific parts were introduced here. The halo, not just similar, but identical to the real thing. It's also printed with sponsor logos. And the steering wheel? This is literally the Sauber wheel in miniature. This one is Valtteri's, but you can swap it to Joe's version too. Now I'm torn on this. Yes, these parts look incredibly realistic, but they go against the LEGO philosophy. In LEGO, parts are meant to be used in many different ways. But here, the halo can only be a halo. The steering wheel can only be used for this exact Sauber F1 car. There is no other use for them. It's a different approach, not necessarily bad, but not my favorite. Inside the cockpit though, there is an orange handle. I can pull or push it, but what can this do? Check out the rear wing. This knob can be useful in the DRS zone. And if you are here, the side mirrors are also oddly specific, but look great. The side pods are in close range, looks a bit strange, but definitely detailed. There are lots of printed parts were used here. Even under the pods there is this green line with the sponsors. And the Venturi tunnels are here too. But check this out. If I flip the car over, you can see I had to build the aero elements, the underside of the car. This is a well-detailed element of the car, but I prefer the LEGO approach. When I can see the engineering, the differential, the shock absorbers, and so on. So the soul of the car. In this case, this part is accurate, but I can see nothing of those. Moving on, the engine cover is well detailed, the camera is built in yellow, the air intake is exactly like in the real deal, and of course again, because I've built Bottas' car, the number 77 is represented here. But don't forget, the spare number 24 are here too. Now there's a hidden mechanism here. I had to attach this knob to the car, and voila, I can steer the car like usual. And the steering wheel turn as well. And as you probably imagined, I can remove this section, in this time in two parts, which will reveal the engine in all its glory. And yes, the engine bay is more detailed than I expected, though the engine itself is barely visible. When in motion, the pistons will move just as you expected. And finally, the rear wing functions as described before, though I feel it should be a bit larger for proper proportions. And the back of the car features a huge diffuser, a red light, and the exhaust. So, what is my final verdict? The car looks incredible, but far from perfect. So obviously there are lots of pros. Looks incredible, a spitting image of the real car, there are only printed parts, accurate white tires, there are no more mismolded parts, the quality is good, 9 out of 10. The color choice is good, and of course the pricing. The pricing is unbeatable. But here are the cons. The bags should be numbered evenly. I mean, I don't like to have 9 numbered ones. I need 9 individually numbered bags, so to find the piece will be much easier. It feels like a box set. But the most important thing to me, the building process. That was the most annoying in the set. It was no fun to build, it was a work. It was a hard work. They sacrificed the enjoyable building experience to the look. So overall the model looks stunning, the printed parts are excellent, and the price is unbeatable. But this is purely a display piece, the build itself was immature and unenjoyable. I got into this hobby because I love to build, and while I appreciate the good looking model, I value an enjoyable experience even more. If they can improve the building experience, LEGO should be worried because everything else is already on par, or even better in some aspects. So guys, now it's your turn. What do you think of this set? Let me know in the comments below, and if you like what you saw, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye bye!